Thank you for joining Market News with Rodney Lake. This is a regular program for the GW Investment Institute, where we talk about timely market topics. I'm Rodney Lake, the director of the GW Investment Institute. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Market News with Rodney Lake. Today's episode, if you can tell, we're in a different location. It's a very special episode. It is the GW Investment Institute Annual Conference 2026. So we've mixed up the format. We're kind of going Berkshire Hathaway style here. I know I look much younger than Buffett, and I am. That said, we're super excited to host this, and the Media and Public Affairs here and the GW, not School of Business, but GW Media and Public Affairs is hosting the School of Business, hosting the Investment Institute, and hosting our podcast. So thank you to them. This is a fabulous studio, and we're lucky to have this opportunity to present. And so we're going to have a little bit of an internal dialogue this year, and we're recording it, and we have a great studio audience, so we're super excited to get to some Q&A. Make sure you're asking questions for that. And with that, we're going to introduce our three guests, and they're going to introduce themselves. So to kick it off, for this year, we're going to have three panelists that are current students, that people that are currently involved here at the GW Investment Institute. And before we start, as a reminder, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We hope we're entertaining. This is not investment advice. Seek an advisor and professional advice if you need so. All right, let's kick it off. All right, to our panel. So we have three wonderful people that are on our panel today: Kaitlyn Johnson, Judy Abdo, and Katherine Nguyen. So Kaitlyn, maybe introduce yourself, and we'll go one by one, and then we're going to start with the questions.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name's Kaitlyn Johnson. I'm currently a senior in the School of Business, studying both finance and international business with an econ minor. Over the years, I have been very involved in GW Business School. I've been in a few business orgs, SRIF and DSP, and then I'm also the TA for the Financial Securities Analysis class.
Thank you.
Currently, yes, I really enjoy it. I started last semester, and I'm currently doing it again this semester. And then post-grad, I'm going to be returning to New York to RBC Capital Markets to work in investment banking.
Excellent. Congratulations, of course.
You.
Judy?
Thank you for having us, Professor Lake.
Thank
My
you.
name is Judy Abdo. I'm a junior in the School of Business with a finance major and a minor in economics. I've also been quite involved with the School of Business and the Investment Institute as a whole. I'm also in Delta Sigma Pi and was in the Socially Responsible Investment Fund. And I've represented the Investment Institute in the Cornell Women Investing Conference and McGill International Portfolio Challenge. And I'm currently the TA for the Foundations of Venture Capital class. This coming summer, I'll be returning to Quant as a wealth planning intern.
Excellent, thank you. And thanks for all the help.
Of course.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here today.
Of course.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katherine Nguyen. I'm currently a sophomore in the School of Business studying finance and information systems. Like Judy and Kaitlyn, I have been involved in GWSB as well. I'm a part of Alpha Kappa Psi, one of the other business fraternities. Additionally, I'm also a mentor in the BLD program. And this summer, I'll be spending my time as a client solutions extern at FactSet. And then next summer, I will be at UI as a technology risk assurance intern.
Excellent, and congratulations, and thank you also for being so involved with the Investment Institute. So let's just kick it off here, and we're going to go, Kaitlyn, love to hear from you. So you've been involved in several different things with the Investment Institute. Could you maybe give us an overview of the Investment Institute first from your perspective?
Yeah, so I found out about the Investment Institute, I believe, as a freshman or sophomore from someone who is currently very involved, Will Ahrens, our previous TA. He recommended it to me because the Investment Institute is a great hands-on experience for students interested in various fields. For me, I was very interested in the Financial Securities Analysis class, but I've also taken the Venture Capital class as well. Haven't gotten to take the Quant class, but I've heard really great things about it. So I wanted to get involved because all three of those classes are very hands-on, and you learn a lot of real-world experience that you might not otherwise get in a classroom setting. And so for me, that was the big driver of wanting to take that class, especially as a junior. Before my investment banking internship, I really wanted to get that hands-on experience.
Hopefully it was helpful.
Very helpful. I'm so glad that I took the class before I went. I learned a lot throughout the class. I had a great experience. I think I learned a lot of technical skills as well as networking skills with all of the speakers that we have come to our class, who are super professional, super helpful to all of the students. And then I also learned public speaking skills. There's a lot of presentations. You get a lot of questions on the spot, just about the markets, about your specific companies that you're pitching. So I think that that really prepared me a lot, not only for my internship, but just for the business world as a whole and as a young professional. So I think that that was a really great experience for me, and I'm very glad that I was involved.
Excellent. And then maybe you could just highlight one or two things from, this is the Phillips Fund for the financial security analysis class. What are one or two things that were especially helpful? So you talked about making sure you take that before you have that sort of seminal internship that hopefully ends up as a return offer. And for you, it did. Congratulations again. What are some of the things that people should be thinking about? I have to make sure I get this skill set. You mentioned a couple of them. Yeah. Maybe you could highlight one of those or something else.
So I think one that I would highlight is Excel skills and modeling skills. That is something that it's not textbook style. Like there's no right answer all of the time. And so I think that practice with that through the class is really, really helpful. Everyone is struggling through their DCF modeling. Everyone is struggling through the entire Excel workshop that we have in that class. And I think that struggling through that was part of learning how to do it and learning how to make those assumptions and learning both like the technical and analytical skills that are involved in valuing a company.
Right.
I don't think I learned a general idea of what that was before coming to class, but this class specifically and working with the Phillips Fund, I really learned those analytical skills very well.
One follow-up question on the Phillips Fund. So now you're the teaching assistant for the class. Thank you very much for doing that. From that perspective, what recommendations would you give students to say, here are some of the areas that you should really be focused on to really, increase the return on investment of your time from the class?
Yeah, I would say that a lot of times I see people try to copy presentations to a T. I think that one thing that's very helpful with that class is that every presentation is different every semester, even if it's for the same company.
Right.
And so I think that really diving deep into your company and spending an entire semester working with 1 and 2 companies is something that you don't see in other classes and is very helpful because you become an expert in that company. And honestly, you probably know more, the students who are presenting on their companies know more about that company than I do at the time. That's really great. I think that that's something that is unique to the class and develops your analytical skills even further. So I think that diving deep and really learning about that one company is something that I enjoyed so much. And I enjoyed it this summer too. When I was working with one specific company, I found myself pulling back a lot of the things that I learned while taking the class. And as a TA, it's really nice to get to watch the students learn so much about their companies and surpass my knowledge about the companies as well. And I learn something new when I'm watching the students present their drafts and their final pitches. At our final pitch day, I always learn something new with the presentations.
Me too. Excellent. Thank you, Kaitlyn. All right, Judy, let's talk about the Quant class. So you're currently in the Quant class. Thank you very much. The Quant class is a little bit different, obviously, than the fundamental analysis classes that we have at Phillips Fund, as we talked about. Maybe give us your perspective so far. I know it's not over yet, but so far, what do you think of the Quant class, and what are some of the skills that you think are useful?
I think it's a great class to take. Personally, I took the class because I just wanted to learn a bit more of the technical know-how of coding or anything computer science related because, I am in a very soft skills focused field. And I thought with the rate of technological advancements and AI, I think having that fundamental knowledge and that technical knowledge is something that would benefit me a lot, regardless if I choose to pursue that or not. And it's been a great class to be in. I think the entire structure of the class, so it's the Quant investment fund and we're managing over $150,000 of assets. And I think adding on to what Kaitlyn said, the real life applicability of all the investment institute classes is something that's pushed me more and more to take every class in the investment institute. And I don't think I've gotten that as much from any other class at GW. And in the Quant class, we're initially focused on learning about different quant investing strategies. And then the eventual final end goal is developing a quant model with your group to pitch and hopefully have it invested into the fund.
Yes.
I think there are 2 different aspects to this class. Obviously, the big chunk of it is learning the quantitative analysis and learning how to use different platforms such as Colab and Python. But there's also the soft skills aspect of it, like many of the other investment institute classes. And I think the countless pitches we do every week, we're encouraged to present an update on our model and just learning how to formulate and convey into words what your investment thesis is something very valuable. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways and one of the most valuable lessons you'll take away from any of the investment institute classes is learning how to formulate not only your investment thesis, but be able to convey it in a simplified way, because obviously what we're doing in the Quant class is very technical and it's not easy to be able to explain what the specific code is or how we got the specific output. But I think throughout practice and like even having taken the Phillips Fund class, over time, I enhanced my presentation skills so much. And obviously the technical skills that I've been gaining in the Quant class has been great as well.
One follow-up question on that is, so Quant class, different than Phillips in this case, you work in teams. How has it been working with the team and developing your model, and what roles did you play and other people play, and then how did you sort that out?
I think that's one of the biggest advantages of the Quant class, because everyone has a different skill set, everyone has different strengths that they have that they can leverage in this class. And in my group, we have each of the different members have a different background and different strengths. So you get to learn a lot. One of our team members has a background in computer science, so she's been a great resource to help with teaching us, honestly, from A to Z,
Nice.
How to use Colab, how to use Python, how to get the output. And we've been learning how to gather data and translate it into these actionable insights has been something very valuable. And rehearsing presentation dynamics, I think everyone, when you're working within a group, everyone can leverage their strengths to push the team to success. And I think with the Phillips Fund, what's different is you are focused on one specific company that you're really interested in. And I think being able to pitch that individually is something, again, that will benefit you a lot. But with a even more technical class that requires a bit of a different skill set, it's very beneficial being in a team setting where everyone can help one another and you can learn from your other teammates.
So versus your expectations in the Quant class, when you signed up for the class, you obviously see the name, you might have heard something about it. What's been the most surprising or beneficial thing that you've gotten out of the class that maybe you didn't expect?
I think how much AI can help you in the class.
Right.
Because I remember I came up to you and Boyana before, I was like, I don't have much coding experience prior. And you were like, AI can do a lot, and Gemini and Colab, it helps a lot, but I think the extent of what it can do for you was something that definitely shocked me. And just how much, when you learn how to do everything with AI, it helps a lot. I think that was the biggest surprise for me, and it made me glad to take this class even more.
Thanks. Yeah, it's just something on that. One of the things that's been surprising, so we've been running the class for a few years, is this, and then what we mentioned to you is that the tools and the skill sets that you have now are very different than what it was really when we started the class, not even that long ago, because of all the large language models that are out there. Gemini, we mostly use in class, but obviously people use ChatGPT and Grok and Claude. And so these things have transformed the setup, and really now, instead of being an expert in Python, or at least functional in Python, you really need to be an expert on how to use the AI tools to get to the point where you want to go, which I think also, obviously this is, we're saying it's our view, but that's really towards market, right? So when you go out and start working, and that's certainly what we hear from our alums, is that, Excel is foundational and people still need that. And now adding on top of that, it used to be Python, but now it seems like it's Python plus the AI skills to make sure that you know how to manage all of that. So thanks for saying that. All right, shifting gears a little bit, you're also the TA currently for teaching assistant for our VC class, and you've taken the VC class. So maybe you could talk about first your experience as a student, and then we can follow up on the TA.
Definitely. I think if you're interested in anything in the world of VC or even just entrepreneurship as a whole, the VC class is a great class to take. Professor Bill Collier is a great resource and very experienced in the world of VC. And I think as a student, again, I added a concentration in entrepreneurship and innovation because it is a big area of interest for mine, but I also wanted to be able to understand it from a VC perspective, why venture capitalists invest in certain companies and what makes a company successful. And I think the applicability of the class, again, being able to enter the new venture competition, refine your pitch every couple of weeks and be able to improve it with the help of the professor is something the other teams in the new venture competition don't get. And I think one of the biggest pros of this class is you get to learn how to think as both an investor and an entrepreneur. Because one aspect of the class, you're looking at a company that has a somewhat same idea as your pitch and analyzing the qualitative factors like the team behind it, the market size, the competition, everything. But then you're also learning through creating your own pitch and entering the new venture competition how to build an effective business and how to scale your effective business. And you get many guest speakers, which I think is one of the biggest pros to all of the Investment Institute classes. You get so many experienced professionals. So for the VC class, for example, you get both venture capitalists, founders, people that work at startups that are venture capital backed. And I think all of those, they give you the perfect entryway to whether you just want to be an entrepreneur or you want to work in the field of venture capital. It's a great way to get your foot in the door and meet these very experienced people and learn from their mistakes, from their failures. Like many of the stories I've heard from the people that would come and speak in the VC class was something very beneficial to me. It teaches you, obviously, entrepreneurship is not linear. So many of them have gone through multiple failures till they succeeded, and how they really stood out in the VC pitching process is also something that differentiates you. And for example, my team that we did the NVC with last year, we decided to repitch this year. So
nice. How's it going?
Good. We made it to round 2. So,
oh, excellent.
Yeah, so we're excited to see what happens there, and we really want to work on continuously refining our pitch and maybe bringing it to life. So I think being in a class like that, it motivates you not only to get out of your comfort zone, but actually be proactive, because an idea is nothing without execution at the end of the day. So
which you learned in the class.
Yeah. So I mean, looking just at Quant and VC, Quant is looking at the quantitative factors and learning how to use data to arrive to an investment thesis. But with VC, you're looking at the qualitative factors and how to build a business without looking at the specific, like data and statistics.
And one follow-up question on that is, so you've taken the class as a student, you're repitching your idea. I think that's fantastic for the new venture competition. Good luck from here.
Thank you.
Now you're a TA. What insight do you have now as a TA that you maybe didn't appreciate as much as a student?
I think just like being able to see all the new ideas and seeing how the students formulate their pitches from A to Z from an outsider perspective, because when you're as a student, you're very focused on your own pitch and you're listening to the other ideas, but you're working on how do I make my pitch the best. But I think there's so many different ideas and so many students have many great different ideas that it's very interesting to hear. I mean, you have people pitching ideas in many different sectors, many different industries, and I think it's good for an entrepreneurial mindset. I mean, it makes you think of different ideas, how to go about different ways of thinking, and just hearing Professor Collier's feedback for everyone, and we've had guest speakers also give our students feedback. So that's also been a valuable insight and a good perspective to have.
Excellent. Yeah, and shout out to Professor Collier and Professor Song, we've mentioned here their classes. So thanks to them also for being part of the Investment Institute. All right, Katherine, we're going to shift gears here a little bit too to talk about some things that are outside of class, but the Investment Institute is certainly part of. One is the portfolio group. So we just wrapped up this year. You were nice enough to be our teaching assistant for the portfolio group. We're super excited about that. For people that maybe don't know about it, maybe could you talk a little bit about what the portfolio group actually is?
Yeah, of course. So like Vice Dean just said, the portfolio group isn't exactly like a class. It's another organization that's this year is open to first years and second years. So it's a great way for undergraduates to get a little bit of experience with the Investment Institute before they're quite ready to take one of the classes. And I thought it was an amazing experience. I was a part of it my freshman year, and I was super grateful for the opportunity to return as a teaching assistant and continue my time in it.
We appreciate your help.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, so for a little bit more context, when I was a part of the portfolio group my freshman year, it was open to students from their freshman to senior year. So that type of structure really helped me not only learn a little bit more from Vice Dean Lake, Kathleen, and Boyana, but I also got to meet a lot of mentors in that class as well. But even with this new structure this semester, I think it's such a great experience because it provides a great opportunity for those first and second years to meet other people in their year who are also interested in learning more about investment management as well. So when we are in the group, we pair each student with a company that is associated with the GW Investment Institute. Yep. So we're actually investing in them. So it gives the students a little bit of an opportunity to look into a specific company and really see what we are actually investing in. But it's a great opportunity. We get to have some time to work on getting our FactSet and Bloomberg certifications, which was super fun. I loved getting to do that as a freshman, adding it to my resume and just
learning a little bit more about
probably helpful for going to FactSet.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I definitely talked about that during my FactSet interviews, and they really loved it. So it was super helpful. Yeah, the Investment Institute was like my first introduction to using FactSet. So that was when I really learned how much I enjoyed working with the platform. So we'll forever be grateful for the Investment Institute's introduction for that. But yeah, this year it's been really great. Something I've seen is that a lot of the students who are in the portfolio group, they're not all finance majors. Like we have entrepreneurship majors, marketing majors. So it's also a great way for those students to, you know, take a little taste of the Investment Institute.
And there's always time to switch to finance.
Yeah, there's always time to switch over to. But I think that they really appreciate having like that open, flexible model where they're able to go in and like see if this is something that they're interested in. It's way less commitment than taking a class, but still fast-paced though, so students are still getting challenged. But in all, I think it's such a great resource that the Investment Institute has, especially for like those underclassmen.
Yeah, and thanks for saying that, and I'll just elaborate a little bit here. From our perspective, this is one of the fantastic ways for people that first get to campus on the undergrad side to get involved. One of the things that's been feedback from both industry and our advisory board for the Investment Institute is that, you know, students really have to learn as soon as they get here, because as you all know, the pace of getting hired is more intense literally every year. And so making sure that we have some, you know, entry ramp here to get involved in things that are outside of class we thought was important, and our advisory board really pushed us to put this portfolio group together. So big shout out to Boyana and Kathleen for really running this, and for you to help as the TA. So thank you very much, Katherine. All right, we may come back to that, but next up, you know, fitting with your last name, and this is maybe why you were on the team as well, but the WIN competition from Cornell, and we also won, which we're super proud of that setup. Could you maybe talk a little bit about what that is, and what was the setup for you?
Yeah, of course. So just for a little bit more context, we were actually on the same team for the conference, along with Isabella Chi. But so the WIN conference is something hosted by Cornell every year. It's a conference that's comprised of a stock pitch, but there's also time for us to network with various investment management companies as well. So I really loved having that opportunity, especially during my fall sophomore year.
Yeah.
It was super useful.
Good recruiting time.
Definitely. But yeah, essentially over the summer and early in last semester, we helped, we all worked on a stock pitch. We pitched Eli Lilly, and it was a successful pitch, but I also just had such a great time at the conference. Like going into the conference, I wasn't exactly sure like about all the different careers in finance. It's, as we all know, like super broad, but after getting an opportunity to talk to all the different companies there, like all the representatives and also all the other schools there, it was just a great experience to network and grow both professionally and personally. But yeah, I think it's such a great opportunity. It was also super fun getting to go to New York for a weekend.
Nice.
I think next year it's going to be in Boston, so it's super cool how they mix up the locations as well. But
nice. And what do you think is the benefit for a student participating in that? You mentioned a couple of things already, but is there a highlight that you think, obviously, getting to represent the school is one, and being on the road is a little bit of fun, but was there one thing, is it the recruiting? Is it the camaraderie between your teammates? What do you think it happens to be? Yeah,
I think it's hard to pick because I feel like there's so many great things I got out of it. The first thing I will say is like I loved getting the opportunity to work with Kaitlyn, Judy, and Isabella. Like it was just so great. Like they've helped me so much throughout my career as well. So I'm really grateful for like that mentorship aspect, and also like have made so many great friends at the conference as well from other schools, which was super fun. But then if I had to sum it up to like another point, I would probably say like the opportunity just to like get a head start on recruiting. Something really cool is that after attending the conference, they all get our resume. So I actually got access to the applications a couple of weeks before like everybody else did, which is super helpful, especially during recruiting. So I really appreciated that fact. And I think like that itself makes the experience like so worth it for me. Just like being able to get a head start on things was awesome.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to ask you each one more question to wrap up here. So starting, Kaitlyn, with you. So you're heading out to the investment banking world. Maybe, obviously, the Investment Institute is a big part of this, but draw on your experience at GW. What do you think helped shape your readiness for this type of opportunity?
I would say something that GW really helped me with is the soft skills. Something that I noticed during recruiting is maybe not necessarily in the first round, but once you get into rounds 2, 3 into the super day, pretty much everyone knows the technicals.
Right.
Like, you don't get that far if you
Those
don't
are
know.
table stakes.
Yeah, like you get past the first round, you know the technicals. So you need to find something to make you stick out amongst candidates. And it can be, I mean, I had a couple mentors at RBC who I really enjoyed speaking with. And when I interviewed with them, they basically said that, you're gonna learn most of it on the job.
Yeah.
So everything that you learn in class obviously is important. Take that, throw it away for the summer. And just focus on meeting people and learning while you're there. And so I think that my experience at GW, like learning how to network, which first got me into the Investment Institute and got me into a lot of different other orgs and classes on campus, is by far the most important skill that I have learned undergrad. I think that, I jumped into Finance 360 right when I was a freshman fall. I was terrified. I learned, oh my goodness, I need to start like yesterday. And I think that networking skill that I've just tried to hone in on and continue working on, the soft skills of speaking to professionals and knowing when to maintain a more professional attitude versus a friendly attitude. Right. I think that that's not something you learn in class. And I think that throughout my 4 years, that has been by far the most important skill that I've learned. I think that, classes like the Investment Institute teach me a lot of the technical skills and presentation skills that really I need to get the first round interviews. And then beyond that, just the soft skills are so important. And I can't really pin down one experience or one organization that helped me get those soft skills. I think that it's a combination of all of them. And then doing things like this, speaking to new students every year. I love meeting all of my new students as a TA, networking with them as well, because at the end of the day, in 5 years, they could be my boss, who knows? And so I think that networking is something that's really great. And throughout the 4 years, all of my organizations, including the Investment Institute that I've been involved with, have really helped with that. So one key takeaway that I would give to students is network. Everyone that you are friends with, everyone that you meet is part of your network, and it is very important. Obviously, the technicals are important too, but
excellent.
Yeah,
well, thank you, Kaitlyn. And I think it's right, as you mentioned, getting involved, staying involved, building your network, and maintaining that network. These are, sometimes people say that these are obvious things to do, but you have to go and do it, and you have to maintain that effort and energy. So thank you very much for that excellent advice. Sticking with forward-looking, Judy, so you're heading back to Quant. Congratulations. What do you think from your GW experience has helped set you up for that opportunity? And maybe it was an opportunity that you were not expecting.
I think I'm going to echo a lot of what Kaitlyn said, because at the end of the day, in the wealth management business, it's a very people-oriented business and a very soft skill-based business. And I think many of the initiatives I've done on campus, and honestly, one of my most notable ones was initially when I went to McGill. Yeah. Because a lot of the people there are all master's students, and the people you're pitching to are all these managing directors of big pension funds. And going there as a sophomore, I think at first I was a bit intimidated. I kind of had imposter syndrome. I was like, what am I doing here? But then as soon as you start speaking to them and you speak with confidence and you learn how to pitch with confidence, they don't really care how old you are or what your past background is. If you know how to speak it well, they'll believe you and they'll buy into it. Right. And I think that's something that's changed my mindset on being able to talk with people and networking with people. And like every conference I've been to, even when, it's been great being able to meet these very established people and not being intimidated to go talk with them and learn about their stories and just speaking to them as a normal person, because at the end of the day, that's what they want to see. That's the people they want to meet. And I think for me, again, the countless presentations I've done and trying to get my investment thesis across is something very important in wealth management, because at the end of the day, I got a lot of experience being able to pitch to clients over the summer, and even for my final intern presentation, that immense amount of practice helped me succeed a lot throughout the journey and in my final intern presentation as well. And I think something I'm very grateful for is the amount of opportunities that the School of Business has given me, whether through the Institute or the other organizations I've been a part of, because it's really helped shape the person I am today. I did not start off as the best presenter or public speaker, but I pushed myself to join many things that would force me to enhance my soft skills, and it thankfully resulted in an offer and a return offer.
Nice.
So
Excellent.
yeah.
Well, we're very proud of you.
Thank you.
And thanks for paying it forward. So Katherine, same question to you. So moving forward, you got 2 opportunities upcoming here. Maybe talk about how, the work that you've done, and obviously you mentioned FactSet and having that experience, but maybe mention other things that are part of your experience here at GW that really help propel you forward.
Yeah, definitely. So I think something that's helped me during my time at GW is really just like saying yes to anything. For example, like I came in with like just a finance major, which obviously I'm keeping forever.
Nice, thank you.
But like I took some classes in the information systems department, liked that, added that on as well. And that's gonna be something that's gonna really help me this summer, next summer as well. But like moving forwards, I still don't 100% know like whenever things will be useful again. So like my personal mindset is like always say yes to everything. And I think that through that type of mindset, I've joined like various orgs. I've had conversations with people like I wouldn't expect to have conversations with. And like all those things I think are what is gonna help me most in the future. Like, and I hope, and like, I don't know if it makes total sense. Like, I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna help me.
Of course.
But I do have
you don't
faith.
Always know,
like,
yeah.
I have a belief that like hopefully it'll help me one day. But just being open to like any opportunities. That's originally how I became involved with the portfolio group as well. I remember seeing like a LinkedIn post and I was like, why not? Like, it never hurts to just give something a try.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank all of you for paying it forward and working super hard for the Investment Institute and working super hard for yourself. I think that's super important. And I think, your work demonstrates some of the great things that are opportunities for all students, but you have to go out and do them, like you said. So let's clap it up for the panel here. Thank you. That wraps this portion of Market News with Rodney Lake. We really appreciate your time, and let's clap it up one more time for our guests. All right, now we're going to move into Q&A. So, what questions do you have for me or one of the panelists? Can you grab a mic so we can get it?
Hi, this question is mainly for Rodney and Judy, who you guys were speaking about AI. For people listening or people who might not have the chance to take the class, what would you guys say is the best way to learn and become an expert in AI?
So, excellent question. Questions about, getting up to speed on AI. Judy, would you like to take that first?
Yeah, I know this is a very interesting topic of yours, Professor Lake, but I think the best part of AI, not only can it do it for you, but it can teach you as well. So it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of back and forth with ChatGPT, but you can have it explain every step of the process, not only give you the code, for example, but explain what specifically it does. And that's the best way I leverage AI, not just for the quant class, but in every class I do. If there's something I don't understand, I ask it to break it down for me. And I think in our generation now, you have to learn to use AI efficiently to get ahead of the curve. And that's something I've been continuously refining, especially in the quant class as well, because I honestly went in with zero coding knowledge or programming knowledge. So having that resource has been a great help for me.
Yeah, and I'll build on that. And so it's an excellent question. And I think one of the things that is consistent with all of our classes, and I tell everybody in the class, I do public service announcements all the time in class. AI right now, it's new in this version for many people, right? The number of people that are really in the research side of it and are help building these companies is pretty small compared to what's the applicable, total addressable market for this. And so what does that mean for all of us, including me? Well, if you're familiar with a basketball reference, and by the way, both of our men's and women's basketball team moved on, so congratulations to them. It's a jump ball, meaning that we all have this opportunity to learn these skill sets as quickly as possible. And so just like our classes, we say learning by doing. So get out there, use the models, use Gemini, use ChatGPT, use Grok, use Claude. Those are the closed models in the US. In China, they have the open models, Quant, for example, with Alibaba. So, there's opportunities in DeepSeek, if you're familiar with that. And so I would try to use all the models. Use as much as you can and try to, do different tasks. So the things that you would normally do throughout the day, obviously one of the things that helps in the quad class is a few years ago, you really did have to get, not expert level, but you had to be functional in Python to make sure you could do the work. Now that work is really handled by AI. You still need to know some things and you have to get beyond basic, but you don't have to much move beyond basic at this point. You're really then focused on, well, what's this type of model that I want to build? Do I want to build a sentiment model? Do I want to build a factor model? Do I want to build something else? And even as you mentioned, the AI can help you do that. So looking to use AI in different parts of your life already, and obviously, disclaimer, you do not want to be suggesting that, especially in whether it's a professional job or part of an academic enterprise, saying that this work that was done by a model is yours. It would be the same as saying that somebody else that did the work was yours. So outside of that, obviously cite it, and for our classes, we say you just have to do this work, and you have to make sure that you tell us, what you're doing and what the models are doing. But the models are super powerful, and I think there's going to be big advantages for all of us, including me too, but for all of us that can use these models and really get more productive. And so the probability that you can be 10 times more productive is very high, and I think the probability that you could possibly be like 1,000 times more productive is also very high. So I'm optimistic in general, if anybody's been in one of my classes, but I'm super optimistic about what productivity gains we can all gather from this. But you got to participate. You got to use them. You got to be at the forefront. And the good news is, there's only so many people that are in those companies, and all of us that get to participate are really at the same starting line. And so if you're willing to put the time in and race as hard as anybody else, you're going to compete them, and you're going to be able to use these tools to do all kinds of things. Again, like building these models, like investing, like any other part of your life, whether it's event planning or anything else, or project management. There's all sorts of things that you can unlock, and those are only a few things, and things that we haven't even thought about. And so I think the amount of compute is going up super high. One of the things I've mentioned on the podcast before is data centers in space. Before people started talking about it, I think that's going to continue to be. And if you see these applications going out from Amazon, from Starlink and SpaceX, they're going to put a lot of data centers in space, and I think that's going to increase compute power by quite a lot. Now, when that happens, obviously there's some push and pull on the cost for launch, and so, but those applications, that's not science fiction. Those applications are already in to get those satellites up, and so that's going to happen, I think, in the next 3 to 5 years. And the amount of compute that you can put in orbit is going to be super high, which means the amount of compute that you'll have access to as a consumer or as an enterprise is going to be super high.
And
Go ahead.
I forgot to add one thing. I think something that AI helps with a lot in this class is help refining your ideas. In the beginning of the semester, we each had to pitch our ideas multiple times, come up with many different ideas. And this also goes into your question about working in a team. Everyone has different ideas, and being able to blend those ideas together will help you even enhance your model even more. Like our team, we ended up using 2 of our individual ideas and blending them together to come up with our model that we're working on now. And I think it's a great way to help AI formulate and kind of bring your idea to life and help you walk through blending those 2 together.
Excellent. All right, next question. Mateo, wait for the microphone.
First of all, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
I guess my question is mainly for Kaitlyn and Professor Lake. Some of us are going to be interning this summer.
Sure.
And at least I'm a bit stressed about their return offers. So, do you have any advice on how to maximize the summer and, what to do and what not to do in order to get that return offer?
Oh, it's an excellent question. So the question is about return offer for the summer. Now, I would actually say that your panelists have better advice than me. So I'll say one thing, and I'm going to call on each of you since you already got return offers, and you can either elaborate or agree or disagree. So one of the things that I think you need to do are do the simplest things first. Number 1, be first in and be last out, right? If you show up just a minute before the first person, that's an extra minute, but you're the first person there, right? And if you stay an extra minute for the last person, you're the last person there. I think that's something subtle, but very noticeable. And I think it's very old school advice, but it works. It also means that you're likely to meet more people. You're likely to connect with those people when they come in early, or the people that might be leaving a little bit later. Obviously, if you have other responsibilities, you have to think about that. But if it's your mission to get a return offer, first one in, last one out. One of the things that was talked about is, doing things and agreeing to do work. So if there's something, and even if you're not asked, obviously if somebody's asking, hey, can you help us do this? You try to jump in. but go around and look for work where people are like, I really don't want to do this. I can take that off of your plate. Is there something that I can work on? Is there something that I can help you with? Networking was also mentioned overall. Make sure that you're taking the opportunity. If someone says, hey, I'd be happy to meet with you for 5 minutes and have coffee, and even if they don't offer, approach them. And so building your network, building it in an authentic way also, not just transactional, but being actually interested in what they're doing, helping yourself by trying to understand what role they have in the company where you're working. That's going to make you an asset. And that's one of the main things that you have to think about is, how can I be useful, and how can I make sure that the people who are making this return offer to you understand that I'm going to be a good team player, I'm going to be willing to do the work, I'm going to be willing to put in the time, and even if I don't know something, and by the way, they don't expect you to know a lot coming out of undergrad. That's not the case. What they expect is determination, hard work, effort, energy, persistence, and a general interest in what's going on.
I would say that there's 2 things that I would give as advice for return offers. The first being, a lot of times, especially right off the bat, your coworkers are going to see you more than they're going to see their spouses, their kids, whatever it may be that they're going home to. And so be someone that they enjoy sitting next to. I had some really late nights with some of the other analysts, and I promise you, I made many mistakes over the summer. They are much more likely to overlook those small mistakes if they like me as a person and they enjoy working with me. I think that's something that's really, really important. They're spending a lot of time with you. And so if you are helpful, as Professor Lake said, and just a genuine, keep a smile on your face. I know the hours can be long. I know it's stressful. Just pretend even if you have to pretend like you want to be there. I don't care if it's 7 a.m, have a smile on your face, be peppy, be, ready to talk to people. And I guarantee you in my reviews, some of the mistakes that I made were just overlooked because they enjoyed sitting next to me. The second piece of advice that I would give is to curiosity. Show a genuine interest in what you're doing. A lot of times these professionals have been doing it for years. They've seen it all. Every question you ask them, they probably see them as oh yeah, I remember asking this question. They know more than you. You are not going to be able to provide value in the sense of providing something that they might not be able to do themselves. I would say that they want to see that you're curious and you want to be there and you want to learn, because they're obviously passionate about this because that's what they do for a living. So that is not to say don't ask them a question that you can ask chat or ask Google. If you can figure it out on your own, do so. Turn to your other interns as well. But I would say that expressing curiosity and asking questions and being really engaged in that sense is something that's really important. So show up with a smile on your face, be pleasant to work with, be curious, and you'll be okay. They'll overlook the small mistakes if you do that, is my experience.
Thank you very much. Judy, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, one of the most important things they said, I think it's overlooked how important it is to just show up with a smile on your face every morning, ready to take on the day. As soon as I'd get in, I'd be the first one in, but then as soon as people would start coming in, I'd start talking them up in the morning. They even called me Chatty Judy by the end of the summer because I just go and chat with them in the morning. And then I think always going above and beyond what your duties are. I'd never sit with free time. If I had some free time, I'd go to someone, ask them, can I help you with something? And something that really helped me out was knowing everyone in the office. I think also the structure of Quant allowed me to do that, but I'd go up to different partners at the office and be like, can I work with you on a client?
Yeah.
Not just set up a coffee chat with them, because everyone had a different client base and a different, part of being an intern is exploring what clientele base you want to work with.
Right.
So some partners would work with business owners, lawyers, and every week I'd go up to a different partner and be like, oh, can I work with you on a client? And they're usually more than happy to do so. And again, they want to see curiosity, willingness to learn. And I think those are the things that really help differentiate you from the others.
Thank you. Katherine, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, sure. I guess I can't really add to the same capacity as everybody else because I'm still waiting for the summer next. But I guess I can share a piece of advice that I've heard from a lot of people that I've personally gotten the opportunity to talk to. And I think that one thing that's going to stay in the forefront of my mind when I go into these positions is just really emphasize being a sponge and being super curious about things that are even outside of my role. Because something that a senior has said to me once, you're not really sure what the business is going to look like in 2 or 3 years. Maybe departments will change, they'll add divisions, they'll remove some seats. So it's great to be open-minded to all those new changes that might happen in the future.
Thank you. All right, we have time for one more question. All right. John.
Thank you all for your time. I think a few of you, if not all of you, panelists mentioned kind of alumni giving back to the Investment Institute, whether they're coming in for a session or whether they're helping you in your networking, looking for a job. And some of you are closer to graduation than others, but as a alumni, how do you envision yourself, or how would you like to kind of give back to, firstly, the GW Investment Institute, and then kind of just GWSB more broadly?
Great question. Let's go the other way now.
Okay, awesome. So actually something I've really enjoyed getting the opportunity to do this year is that through the Investment Institute, I've been lucky enough to get set up with some alumni advisory board members through like lunches and dinners sponsored by the GW Investment Institute. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I get to invite a couple students to come with me. So obviously that time with the alumni is just so invaluable. Like, these are people who are traveling in and they're so eager to speak to students, get to know like what we're doing, get to know us personally. And that like means so much as somebody who's like looking to get into a career after graduation into like any of the things that they're doing. So I hope to one day be in a position where I can come back and like make sure that students know that I want to support them and get to know them as a person as well.
Thank you. Judy?
It's funny because I always joke to the Investment Institute team that give me a couple years and I'll be very heavily invested in giving back to the Investment Institute. But I think my mindset as a future alumni is I really want to give back to a organization that's given so much to me. And I think whether that being able to hopefully in the future fund different trips for students or just coming back as a guest speaker, that's something that I'd be more than happy to do, because I saw how much I reaped the benefit from the existing alumni of the Investment Institute, and being able to talk to them and having that common ground of both being involved in some way of the Investment Institute and meeting the next ambitious and ready students to enter the work field. So, and if I can help them in any way possible, I'd be more than happy to do so as a future alumni.
Thank you for doing that already.
I would say like I'm nearing graduation, very sad about that, very sad to leave. But I definitely won't forget everything that I've learned and gained from being a part of the Investment Institute and my other organizations on campus. I wouldn't be where I am without the other alumni who came to help me, and my peers and everyone else who was like very involved in the orgs, Kathleen Boyana, Professor Lake, Professor Song, and my peers as well. So I will of course be back and ready to help everyone as much as I can. I think I very strongly agree with the phrase "time is money." So I'm in the beginning of my career very happy to dedicate my time and efforts towards maintaining such a great organization and such a strong student body. Coming back to speak at events and try to help network with students and connect them with people that they're interested in, and especially the younger students, just show them what's out there. I didn't know what investment banking was as a freshman. I would have loved if someone came back and just talked about it to me. And I think, similar with the other careers, we didn't all know what it was. And who knows, in 10 years, I'll probably be doing something else. But I think that just coming back and speaking to students and helping them network is, as I said before, networking is very important. And so I think that is something that I look forward to contributing.
Well, we appreciate that. We look forward to that. Let's clap it up for our panel. And that is a wrap for this episode of Market News with Rodney Lake, this special episode that's our annual meeting 2026 for the GW Investment Institute. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you. Disclaimer, the content shared in the GW Investment Institute podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered investment advice. The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of the GW Investment Institute or the George Washington University. Listeners should not act upon the information provided without seeking professional advice from a qualified financial advisor. Investing involves risks, including the loss of principal. The GW Investment Institute, the George Washington University, and the podcast hosts do not assume any responsibility for any investment decisions made based on the content of this podcast. Always conduct your own research and consult with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.